And hello, folks, and welcome back to another awesome episode of the Krystal and Tommy podcast. Krystal, how are you doing?
I'm alright.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know what I'm saying? I've just been relaxing, and I've been going to the gym. You know, I'm down to 45 pounds right now, so I've just been.
You're not down to 45 pounds, or you would be dead. You're down 45 pounds. 40. So that means you're from 330 to 290?
Yep, basically.
285.
Yes.
Good job. Good job. Very good job.
Yes, I've been definitely trying my best to, just to work my hardest to lose weight and just to, keep my head on a swivel,
Yeah, that never gets old. Head on a swivel. I enjoy being at the gym. I like it. I do a lot of things at the gym. I even like sit in the jacuzzi and read as part of my gym experience. So it's kind of the whole thing. I don't just work out. I kind of just hang out too. No, I like it. It's a good place to be.
Oh, heads up, folks. If you are ever sitting near Krystal and you're in a hot tub, don't talk to Krystal because she just wants to read a book, okay? Get the hint that this...
I told Tommy a story about how strange I thought it was. Just, these random social interactions. And a lot of times they're nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have plenty of pleasant interactions with strangers. Some of them I think I'll remember for the rest of my life. But there are times when I don't get it. Like, I'm getting into a hot tub. I don't know anybody in this hot tub. We're all just a bunch of strangers. And I bring a book. I have a book with me. And I open the book, and I'm looking at the book. And then that is when some random guy who is like, I mean, I don't mean to sound derogatory at all, but he's like older than me. He's balding. He's got like, he's rotund. And then he just starts chatting at me. And then I'm one of those people where I can't just be like, dude, I want to read. Like, I just don't want to do that. So at first, I'm hoping that it'll just be like a little quick exchange, like, yeah, okay, all right, cool, right, dude. And then I can just go on to reading. No, I keep on trying, like, more than once, I try to reopen my book and I'm looking at it like, like I'm trying to read. And he just keeps at it until eventually I just give up on the book. And I'm like, and then I'm caught in this limbo of, I guess I'll just talk to this guy because I can't be rude. And then at the end of it all, he wants my number and all this crap. And I just, like, I don't get it. Like, I personally would not, like, just talk at somebody who was holding a book open. I just don't understand this personally.
Yes.
Personally.
Sometimes there's just, you have that moment where you just want to be by yourself. And me, personally, I'm a social butterfly. And I talk to every person that looks at me and says something to me. Also, I want to mention the fact Ken right now will be here on the show. He is our guest tonight on the show. But fortunately, he is eating right now. So he will be here as soon as possible. I sent him an invite to come into the Skype call here. So he will be here, just to let you know, folks. He will. He will. I already had one question in the chat. Where's Ken? And I'm like, he'll be here. Don't worry. He will be here.
He's on his way.
He's on his way. He got stopped at the auction hall. Am I right, Krystal?
Yes, he got held up at the auction hall.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, it's my favorite thing. I love
it. Oh, indeedy. Yes, I went indeedy everywhere. It's everywhere. There's poop everywhere. Remember that, Krystal?
I do vaguely. Where did that come from?
That was from Dumb and Dumberer.
I have seen that movie exactly one time.
Yes. Was it Bob Saget is the father, and like all it is a chocolate bar, and the kid is resting up against like something hot, and his something melts in his pocket, and he ends up pulling chocolate out of his hands. Well, melted chocolate looks like fecal matter. You know, if you were to lick your hand, you're like, ooh, it's chocolate. But you know, from the deceiving eye, it looks like poo. You know, it looks like caca.
Totally.
Yes. I am Cornelio. I need TV for my bunghole. Sorry.
Yes,
Jeez.
yes, and yes.
How is your week?
Here.
Here. Yes. By the way, Crystal, have you ever seen those ads for Biltmore?
I have seen quite a few ads for Biltmore over the years, yeah.
Have you seen it through the Whispering Pines? Come to Biltmore. You know, I'm like, okay. Like, I've been to Biltmore. I've seen it, and I really don't want to go back. You know,
I've never been to I've lived my entire life in Asheville, and I've never been to the Biltmore House, and I don't plan to. I don't really understand the I mean, it's not that it's not cool, whatever, okay. It's the biggest house in America. The largest house in America. You know, meant for like a single family dwelling. Okay, fine. And it's pretty and whatever. But like most of the people who built that house were slaves. And it was under some sort of hardship. It was under bad working conditions. And like, I don't know, like it's like super overpriced food just because you're at the Biltmore House. I don't know, everybody's super stuck up. It's just the whole thing. I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, it's like, it's very basic. It's a very basic thing to want to do. Not that Asheville has a whole lot to offer outside of that, in my opinion, anymore. I mean, if anybody comes to Asheville, it should be in the spring and summer for the mountains, because the natural beauty is the best part of this place by far. Biltmore House, meh.
To be honest with you, I think one of the other houses. It's not. What is it? Where they have the gigantic, fireplaces. It's the other place. It's like really fancy. It's like a hotel, really fancy hotel.
Oh, are you talking about the Grove Park Inn?
Yes, the Grove Park Inn.
Yeah, that's the same to deal with that. When I drove taxi, I would go and pick up people from the Grove Park Inn, and I didn't like them.
You know, it's always been my fantasy to like take a lady friend with me and stay the night there. You know, like to like say like you or you know like one of my good lady friends, just to take them and go.
Well, it would be a complete waste of money for you to take me to the Grove Park Inn. And I wouldn't let you anyway. But it's a waste of money.
I mean,
it's just the place to be. You can have the same good experience at a Wyndham hotel with a pool. I stayed in a Wyndham in Greenville for $65 a night, and they had a pool and a mini bar in the place.
Did you use the mini bar, or did you?
Of course, I did.
So how much was your bill at the end of the night? In the
they had happy hour. They had happy hour from 5 to 9 every night.
Really?
Yeah.
Because sometimes
everything was all the beer was half off.
Wow.
So it was like it was better than you would get in any bar.
So it wasn't like one of those mini bars that they have at those fancy hotels where you take it off and it's a sensor and it charges your card. So it was just like a regular bar.
No, it wasn't quite like that. It was like a regular bar. You just went up to them and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get 2 Voodoo Rangers or whatever," and you just be like, "Open a tab," or I just got 2 and closed the tab, so I just paid for 2 beers. But it was great because you don't have to leave. You can drink it in the lobby or you can take it to your room. I mean, it's like It was pretty cool for $65 a night. That's nothing. $65 a night is nothing for a hotel with a pool and a minibar. Nothing. So I would rather be there. Plus, it was within walking distance to like 5 different restaurants and an Earth Fair. R.I.P. Earth Fair. I'm gonna miss you. But yeah, I mean, so like if you can get that for $65 a night, I don't give a two craps about a Grove Park Inn, because that's what you get. You get fancy fireplaces. There you go.
I mean,
and you get to say you stayed at the Grove Park Inn.
At the Super 8, back in the day before I had an apartment, I could stay at there for $50 a night, and it was
that's not even anymore. Yeah, I used to get places for $50 a night too, like 10 to 15 years ago, but I haven't been able to find something like that in a while.
Just a second, Crystal. Hold on. Yes.
Hello, checking.
Yeah, no, we can't see you. We're trying to get. Ken's trying to come into the show, Crystal. I don't know what's going on. I was calling the Foulmouth network. That's what's. I apologize. I can recorrect it, dude. I apologize. Okay.
All right.
It's
I'm in there.
All right. Bye.
There he is.
There we go. Fucking finally got this thing to work. Jesus Christ.
Hey, Ken, how you doing, buddy? Sorry I misspelled your name.
No, it's all right. I don't care.
Yeah.
It was weird. You know what? Justin JB hits me up out of nowhere for the first time in about 4 months to say that.
Say what?
To say that Tommy got my name wrong. I'm like, this is the first time you contact me in 4 months. And it's to tell me that Tommy got my name wrong. So that's just weird.
Red alert. Alert.
That's just weird, you know?
God, people are so weird.
Yeah.
Kim, we were talking about like staying at hotels and stuff like that. And like I was telling Crystal that I stayed at the Super 8 like for $50, and I could like back before it was on my diet. What's that?
I'm just laughing, Tommy.
I know. Like, how long has it been since you found a motel that is $50 a night?
God, man, when I was going to hotel rooms to not go home to my parents' house. That was in the friggin' mid '90s, for Christ's sake.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's been like a good. I think it's been like a good 15 years since I found a $50.
Yeah, those don't exist anymore.
Well, no, they don't. That's what I just said to Tommy. They don't exist.
Apparently, like the Super 8, it's a nice hotel in my eyes, but like the locals here in Black Mountain say that the Super 8 is like a scumbag hotel. I think it's nice. It's a bed, a bathroom.
Well, Tommy, let me tell you something, bro. The hotel we stayed in when we went to WrestleMania. Oh my God. I mean, like it was bad. It was just like, it was pretty friggin' bad.
I love crummy motels. Like that's part of the scenery, in my opinion, when I travel. And there's a difference between it being unsafe and being unsavory. Yeah. And I like some unsavory activity. It's just entertaining. My daughter.
I like the old throwback. I like
What's
the old throwback hotels, like the ones you would see in like the late 70s. You know what I mean? Like, and they're still out there. They still exist. They're like old ass hotel rooms, but they're not skeevy. You know what I mean? But you can just tell it's old.
What's the difference between a motel and a hotel?
Exactly. I don't know. I really don't know.
Motels are just cheaper. Hotels are just, they're nicer. Basically.
Are hotels the ones that are right by the roadside and like
a Super 8 is a motel, but like a Hilton is a hotel.
Okay. But it's funny. It's in the word hotel. Hotel.
Hotel, motel,
Welcome to
Holiday
Motel
Inn.
California. Such a lovely place, such a love.
Oh God.
Living the life fantasy, California.
Are you live right now? No, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Are you really? Oh my God. You're really singing that on there? God damn.
Hey, I do Tommy sings when I can. You know, I love doing Tommy sings.
You mean Tommy
Sings.
forgets the words?
It's like a miniature Tommy roast here.
I
Tommy.
gotta say though, it's great. It's great. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I have never, Tommy, you have never sang a song to me or around me and had the words right. Never. Never. Not once.
Come on, I could keep a tune.
You keep the tune. You start it like living it up at the Hotel Cal. Such a and
And then he just makes up half the words
and then
after
he
a
just
while.
starts making up stuff.
Yeah. I'll just throw a word in there.
Which is kind of impressive in and of itself. You just improv that shit. Good,
Which-
good for you.
Many people pointed out the Tommy, which Tommy sings is basically something. Oh no! That's what his opinion about that is. Halfway through the song, I'm like.
Oh yes, that has me reminiscing in my youth, in my early 20s, when I had no care in the world and no shame and no idea of my self-image and just drank my body weight in vodka every day.
Serious.
My favorite thing to do was karaoke, and I would just do a karaoke tour all across Asheville. And I would go to the same bars with my friends, and I had a stage name. It was Special K.
Oh my God, that was my name when I rapped when I was younger.
Yeah. It's a K, right? You have
Special
to come up
K.
with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, of course.
Hey baby,
And I would go into the bars.
Oh God.
Isn't that a drug?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
It's a drug I've never taken.
It's
I know
ketamine.
nothing about
Ketamine
Okay.
is
ketamine. Oh,
a nasty,
right. Yeah.
nasty drug.
I haven't.
Yeah,
come online.
I've heard two different tales. I've heard good things and I've heard terrible things. I
Oh
don't think I'm
God,
gonna find out.
I knew this chick that used to be like on it a lot that I worked with back in the day, and like you knew when she smoked it the night before because like when she would be talking to you the next day at work, she'd be like,
Mm.
and I'd be like, yeah, can't understand you. And she'd be,
No
like,
thanks.
and she wouldn't even know that she was like that. She'd just be like, and
I
was
swear
like,
to God, that's
oh.
probably brain damage.
yeah, and she, pretty much is brain damage, this chick. So yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't care. I mean, drugs are fine, like everything else, within moderation.
Yeah,
I've done drugs that I could be like, that's a great drug to do. I recommend it. And I've done drugs that I'd be like, don't ever fucking touch that ever. Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Please take it from me.
I was always a pussy when that was around me. Like I would be like, yeah, I'll do that. But when it came time, I was always like, no, not doing that. Like I would always turn into,
That's smart.
you know, I was always one of those where I was like afraid to like really push it, you know. But in reality, it was a great thing for me because it kept me away from it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And when in quote unquote in my day, I was the opposite. I would think in my head like I wouldn't do that, and then like 3 or more friends would be around and be like, "Come on, you should try it." And I'd be like, "Okay." And
Peer pressure.
Don't be like that. Yeah, like everybody else is
Yeah.
having such a good time. Maybe
I
I'm
don't think
missing
it's-
out on something.
I don't think it's necessarily peer pressure unless somebody says, "Come on, what are you chicken? What are you chicken?" That's when it turns into
Yeah,
peer.
but no, you're wrong about that because it could be a silent peer pressure where you're like, oh man, if I don't do this, all my friends are gonna not like me anymore. They're gonna talk about me. They're gonna, you know what I mean? So it does work both ways, man.
You know,
It can be very effective. I just thought I was missing out on something.
Like
Like,
I gave my oldest kid a code word to text me and Shannon if she ever needs to get out of a situation without like making herself look like a, you know, a little mama's boy or girl. You know what I mean? Like where, oh, she had to call her parents to save her. You know, so like we kind of gave her like this code word to say on the phone to us, like, or to like text us if she needs us to call her and be like, you got to get home right now, or you got to, you know, we need to pick you up right now, like type of thing. So it doesn't look like she's afraid of something and leaving, or, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like
That's
we gave
good
that
parenting right there. That's great parenting.
and
How
we gave
old is
the
your
option.
oldest?
She's 16, man, and it's not easy.
Oh, that's rough.
Not easy.
Rough.
Yeah, she's a sporting, just gorgeous girl, and it's like she's hitting that age where, you know, just.
And I think back on being 16 myself, and I was so naive. I was raised by, you know, like Bible beaters, and so if I had a question, the answer was always either do it because God wants you to do it, or don't do it because God doesn't want you to do it. There was no detailed information about what was actually going on. So it didn't really hold water. So I'm like, ultimately, I'm on my own. And I think back on those times, and man, I wouldn't go back and relive my teenage years for any amount of money. It's such a terrible, stressful, confusing time.
Yeah, I mean, some of that was like that for me too, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is like that for all teenagers, you know. At some point, they get like, because most of them don't know how to deal with stress either. You know what I mean?
And things are stressful that, you know, obviously aren't stressful to you later. And you know, and for a girl, it's different. Obviously, I mean,
big time.
It really is. And you know, my dad was really good to me about. He was actually really more understanding than my mom, and he would say, you know, it's not you. It's not that I think you are going to go out and do some terrible thing, so I'm afraid something terrible is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
And nothing ever did.
Thank God.
But something could have easily. And then,
you
know, like, how do you talk to your girls about that? You know, I have an 8-year-old girl, and I'm always like super like, stay with me all the time. You know, where it doesn't matter where we're at. Don't go out of my sight. And so
I never. Knock on wood, I've never lost them anywhere. Like I never was like, oh, where's, you know, like I always have my eyes on my kids, and you know they're older now, obviously, so I don't have to do it like I did. But I was the same exact way. Like, you know, like if we went to the city, I knew every exit of where we were. You know, like I would always tell them when they were going out, like to a movie or with their friends or to the mall, like always have your eyes open, your ears always open, looking around. Something looks weird or out of place, be ready to run. You know where you're going, know where an exit is, know what you would do in a panic moment. You know, have everything ready to go. Like I always taught them that. You know, to be ready for.
Yeah, you have to, and it sucks. It really is heartbreaking to see with your own eyes the loss of innocence of a child, and your own child to boot.
Serious, man.
And when my daughter finally asked me, she's like, "Why are you so worried? What's going to happen?" And I'm like, well, somebody might take you. And like, well, why would they take me? And I'm like, oh God, like, what do I say? Like, I can't give her I'm not going to give her the whole information.
Yeah.
So I just leave it at they want you to be their maid slave forever. You have to cook and clean for them, and you'll never see me again ever. And that was enough for her.
Yeah, basically.
That was enough. But, you know, it's just like such a sadness, and like, oh my God, like she doesn't have a clue of what is so terrible in the world, and when is she going to find out? And I'm going to have to be the one to tell her. It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think of that when they first have kids, you know what I mean? Like the fucking, that part of it, you know?
Yeah, just, oh, baby, oh, kids are so great. And then they start asking you questions, and your heart's just breaking.
But you know what? That's part of our responsibility, right? You know, being a parent, it's like you got to make sure. And like me and Shannon are very blunt with our kids. Like they know the real deal, like what's going on in the world. Like nothing's hidden from them. Like they know the deal. You know, they're not naive. They know the deal.
You cannot hide it from your kids, because it was hidden from me.
Like we see so many kids that are sheltered. It's ridiculous how sheltered they are, man. Some of these kids, you know, they're not allowed to even know like what's really going on in the world. You know,
and they
radio stations.
I've
seen it. I seen it with my own cousins when they were growing up. My cousins, they were all born again Christians, and they weren't allowed to watch MTV like we were. They weren't allowed to listen to the best radio station when we were kids. They weren't allowed to listen to music like we were.
I'm here.
They weren't allowed to do shit like we were. They were not allowed to do nothing. So like we grew up watching that as kids, and we were always like, "What the hell?" Like, oh my God, look how they live.
Same
And
with
then
me, Ken.
but you know what though? They would tell my parents, "Oh, your son and your daughter will probably be in jail and a hooah by the time they're this age." Right? And they would say that to my parents. We were like,
what the hell?
We would run around. We would bounce off the walls. Me and my sister, like, we were hyper, and we would just, and we weren't bad kids or anything, but we were just like hyper and shit. And like when we would go there, they would know we were there. And like they said that to my parents one night, like, "You're not raising your kids right. You should raise them like we're doing with our kids and this and that." And my mother and father, like, they thought for sure like you'd be in jail, Kenny, and like your sister would be a stripper or something. And the opposite happened. Their kids, right, who were born again Christians growing up, turned out to be completely fucked up.
Whoa,
Two of them
Ken.
had kids out of wedlock. The other one turned into a drug addict. So it was like their kids they were raising as born again Christians. They're the ones who got all screwed up, not the ones who were allowed to run around and experience life. They kind of, were normal as grown-ups, but the other ones weren't. You know what I mean? So it was like
because they got no context. They have no context for anything.
Yeah, especially when they get older.
Just last week, my daughter asked me. She's 8, and she asked me. She's like, "What does it mean for someone to be on drugs? What is that? What are drugs?" And so I don't want to tell her, but if she's asking me this direct question,
yeah, you got.
I have to give her an honest answer, and I don't have to tell her the whole thing. That's the give and take. That's the sort of the boundary that you skirt is, I'm going to give her the truth, but it may not be the whole truth.
Yeah.
But I have to give her some portion of the truth. I can't just make up something like, "Oh, that's just something. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I have no idea. She might go into 4th grade next year and encounters somebody's kid who is been around all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
And I don't want that kid to get to her before I do.
Yeah, exactly. And that has happened. I've seen that happen to my nieces. Man.
Guys, I was raised Baptist, so I really didn't watch, like rated R movies. Like I watched nothing but Disney movies when I was growing up.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, like
I loved Disney movies when I was a kid, but like God, like I needed my Muppets. I needed my friggin' Ernest P. Worrells.
Oh yes, you know what I mean.
I needed my Animal House. I needed my friggin' Caddyshack. I needed, like I would not have been able to grow up right.
I didn't even know what a Caddyshack was. I kind of knew what Ghostbusters was, but I didn't realize like the perception. Like my parents only let me watch certain movies that were like kids movies when I was growing up. So
yeah, like the one movie, The Priest and the church altar kid. Remember that movie you told me you watched?
I don't know what you're talking about, Ken.
The movie your parents showed you about the priest and how he liked to.
Oh God, Ken, you were what the hell?
I'm just fucking with you. You're like, oh no.
Ken.
Remember that good movie your parents used to pull out the porn? No.
God, Ken.
The fucking it's hot Catholic sex. No, I'm just kidding.
This is what the girl do.
Join. See the oh no.
I promise, Tommy, I will not swear on your show.
I didn't swear, did I?
We've already by this time there's already been like an F-bomb and 2 S's, and I'm gonna try.
Bye monetization. Bye.
Wait,
are
who
the
cursed?
YouTube bots so
Who cursed,
bad?
Tommy? No one cursed.
I'm joking. I'm just joking around. I'm just playing around.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody cursed at all.
It's okay.
Yeah, I dropped the S-bomb. You dropped the F-bomb.
Really? When?
Just in conversation, because I'm the same way. I am so. It is so difficult for me.
We're speaking like grown-ups.
Censor myself.
We're talking like grown-ups.
I know, right? I know, and I don't get it because since when, like Tommy, your channel is not for kids. No kid is going to be interested in anything that's on your channel. They're not going to get it.
Yeah, it's not kids. It's like, a little bit older than like what you're thinking, I think, Tommy.
Yeah,
But it doesn't matter to YouTube. Is that correct? It doesn't matter to them if it's a kid channel or not.
Well, me and Ken have we kind of me and Ken like dominate here on YouTube and stuff like that, and
Dominate.
and like we kind of know the bugs of YouTube and like that how YouTube plays. Like, oh, if YouTube hears this or YouTube sees that, YouTube will demonetize the video or find a reason to block it so it will not be viewed in certain countries.
They do that. They get me for the stupidest stuff. It's not even cursing on my channel. On my channel, it's more of the what music I'm playing and what copyright claims I'm getting and all that stuff. Which,
yeah, that's the truth, man. Now is the worst time to try to be on YouTube ever.
Yeah.
You know something though, but like if you're on here just to have fun and you're not stressing any of the crap that goes on, then you're fine. Then you're all right because it's like, who cares? You're just on here to have fun. You know what I mean?
And now YouTube has turned it so like monetization now on videos are like you have to have 1 million subscribers. I'm lucky because I came in 2010 and I'm kind of like grandfathered in a little bit because I haven't had my monetization taken away because I'm still making decent content along the way, and so I still get a penny there from YouTube once in a while, but I don't say how much YouTube pays me.
Well, Tommy, you don't take copyright claims. That's number one, and that would lead you to being demonetized. Number one, definitely, without a doubt. Number two is you really don't upload much on your channel. How much do you upload? Maybe once a week, and if you're not doing a show, then maybe twice a month, 3 times a month.
Yeah, I mean, I try to have Tommy talks. And I try to have good guests on the show.
Well, no, but my point is not that you're not having good guests or trying to do your show. I'm just saying, you don't for the people that are putting a ton of content out. Obviously they're going to run more of a risk of coming along something that's going to get them demonetized than somebody who's doing a couple of videos a month. So I think you're good to go on that front. I don't think you'll get demonetized because you don't really play music. You don't really. Take copyright claims. You know what I mean?
And the biggest problem I have is when I vlog and I'm walking in a grocery store, or I'm vlogging in a grocery store and the
and the music's on. Yeah, it happened to me the other day, man. I was vlogging me and Shannon going to the XFL game, and I did a live stream in the car on the way there, and when I got home and I saw what happened, they said your video's blocked in all these countries because you had friggin' some song on the radio in the beginning of the video. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me. A song's on in the background.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
They can pick up the beats, or their robots are very stupid here on YouTube, and they could hear "Wake Me Up Before I Go," and then they'll catch that and they'll demonetize your video. Just like that, and you weren't even advertising that song.
Yeah, because some mall is playing it in the background. That's crazy. I mean, it's just
Stupid.
crazy.
I'm gonna get my drink. I'll be right back.
Oh, jeez.
You're taking the fun out of it, man.
Me?
Me?
No, YouTube, silly.
Yes, YouTube. YouTube takes the fun out of it.
They're taking the fun out of it. Just like all big companies eventually take the fun out of. Corporate America takes the fun out of everything.
I like to describe the corporate America. What they do is to the average person, they grab them by the balls and they squeeze them tight, and they're like, "I can't feel my balls right now." We don't care. Stop.
Yeah, they squeeze you. They squeeze your balls or ovaries, whatever, and then they want you to thank them for it when they're done. Like they did you a favor.
Thank us.
Aren't you so grateful that we could just gut you like that and just take your soul from you? Aren't you grateful? Not that I'm not grateful to live in the United States. I am, because I know what a lot of other people go through, and that and it's not my plight. I haven't had many a plight, but on the grand scale, yeah, it's not a pretty thing.
Speaking about corporate America, what I think is the most ridiculous thing is when you walk into Walmart, they have a rule that you can't film inside there. Like, what exact people have filmed for years in Walmart? Like, there's been videos of people in fights and stuff like that. There's been vlogs of people in Walmart. But apparently they're just like, no, you can't vlog in Walmart because we have a rule. And we don't want you filming our prices. Like, yeah, we're there to film your prices for Target. Yeah, we're spies for Target.
I know that's weird. Like, who would do that? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a spy, why are you going to walk in with your camera just out?
Yeah, like you're going to secretly take pictures and then sneak around and take pictures and then sneak back to your job at Target, or any other business besides Walmart.
Yeah, if I was a spy for Target, I would write the prices down on a piece of paper and then take a picture with my phone, and nobody would notice. Nobody would notice if I did that. Nobody would notice.
No one would notice. It would just
do it real quick. I mean, I don't even get it. I worked for Walmart, so I can attest. I didn't like them before, and I like them even less now.
Jeez. What was that experience for you working for Walmart? What was the positives and the negatives of working for Walmart?
I can't say. I don't mean to sound like a negative Nancy, but there wasn't a whole lot of positives. I worked third shift, and I was a janitor. So yeah, that was it. I got paid $12 an hour to stay up all night. And I will say that a funny experience that I had is I had never been truly sleep deprived in my life until that time in my life.
At hotels and stuff like that.
And it is like you're in a dream. You're living in a dream when you haven't had sleep.
I had to mute Kim because there was background noise, so I didn't want to interrupt you. Sorry. Oh,
yeah, that's about it.
Thank you so much for the $1 super chat. Thank you so much for the $1 super chat.
Come on, sweeten that pot. You can do better than $1. Come on, do better than $1. You spent more than that on Starbucks today. Come on now, sweeten that pot.
Yes, yeah, I could barely afford. I could barely afford a Starbucks at times, like $3 a cup of coffee. Come on, really?
Yeah, a regular cup of coffee you can get for like $2.85, and it's a big cup of coffee, and it is good coffee, but yeah, the Frappuccino stuff, I don't really do that. Not really about that.
Yeah, I mean, before it was on my diet, I loved the Java chip. The Java chip was the bomb. Honestly, that was my favorite cup of my favorite little. But that was like around $14 at least, around $14 or $20 just for a Java chip.
I don't think that's the case. There's definitely no way that there's $15 for a Java chip Frappuccino. It was like $5.
Tommy, how do you like coffee? Do you drink coffee?
Yes, I do. I drink coffee when I can. I try to drink it with cream, sometimes cream and sugar. But I've been trying to go light on taking in sugar because.
Oh yeah, you gotta do that if you're on a diet.
Yeah, sugar's the killer if you're.
Yeah, sugar is fucked up, man. Sugar will. Oh, I curse. Sorry. Sugar will really do some damage to you if you If you keep shoveling it in yourself. I mean, it's especially that regular white grainy sugar that we all buy.
Yeah, processed sugar. Processed anything is why we're having so many problems. For years, people focused on fat. Fat ain't nothing. Now hydrogenated fat from potato chip, but animal fat,
I love me some
butter, real
chips.
butter, it don't even matter. But it's all about that sugar.
What's your favorite chips, Tommy?
My favorite chips are salt and vinegar and Doritos sometimes.
Oh, I love salt and vinegar, bro. That's one of my favorites.
Me too.
Love that. What I got into? The red like the red hot chips that they've been selling now, and now they sell them in Doritos, and they sell them in Cheetos, they sell them in, and they're the red, bright red. They're like hot chips, I guess. Do you know which ones I'm talking about?
Yep, sure do.
Yeah, I love that shit. That red
The
hot
flaming
stuff.
hot Cheetos. You can
I
see
just
them, they're
love
red.
it. I don't know what it is. I just love that red hot stuff. I really do.
What's I mean, right now what's sad about it is like I can't touch any sweets right now. I can't touch any chips. Like it drives me up the wall right now. Like,
You know what I love, dude? I love like licorice and stuff like that, like cherry licorice and stuff like that. And that's like the stuff I would snack on. I wasn't so much like an eater. That's what got me big. It was more of the sweets. You know what I mean? Like I just always friggin' loved like the sweets. Not even chocolate or anything, but just like, sugar.
Candy.
Straight up sugar.
Now, Ken, have you been to the auction hall lately?
I went to the auction hall last night.
I love saying that. I like that. Put that stank on it. Like auction hall.
I auctioned off one of our firstborn. Never.
I love accents. Now that's going to be a going joke for a while. That just happened. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it has happened.
And
now we're running with it.
That'd be a funny donation right there. I went down the auction hall. The auction hall.
Me and Filthy are going to come up to North Carolina, and we're going to go to the comedy club with Tommy.
Oh.
And we're going to rename it the Tomedy Club.
I was working on some of my stand-up, and I thought about a joke, and I start the joke off like this. I'm not racist, but the one thing you'll never hear on the suicide hotline is an Indian man, because it would sound like this. Hello, sir. How are you doing there today? Thank you so much. This will be $9.99 for you to speak to me. I thought this was free. Well, I can't help it, sir. Now, can I have your social security information? Why do you need my social security information? Because you're
about to die. You're about to die anyway.
Die anyway. I feel like that you're not even trying to help me here.
You bloody. Imagine they would call the hotline and be like, you have to go and get money to pay for they're going to come and arrest you right now if you don't pay your taxes. You have to give me money order right now. And you're like, this is a prevention line, bro. I was going to commit suicide, but I might as well try to rob you first.
You really don't need it anymore. I feel like
who's in the crisis here? You or me, man?
Have you guys seen that on YouTube where the like these hacker type people that are really good on computers, really savvy, they get these guys that call them and tell them to do that, where they tell them to send money from like a card or whatever.
Totally, and elderly people fall victim to it.
Yeah, and they flip it on them, these guys on YouTube, and I love watching it because this one guy I watch, he disguises his voice to sound like an old woman. And he sounds like this old woman, and these guys thinking they're robbing this guy, and is an old woman that doesn't know any better. But realistically, he gets into their computer system and takes over their entire computer and then robs them of all their money.
Oh, that's brilliant.
They can't do anything about it, and they see it happening on their screen. And the guy records the whole thing, and he puts it on YouTube, and it is like...
I love it.
So satisfying to watch because he's like,
yeah, it's like internet vigilantism.
Yeah, he's like, you thought you were gonna rob me, right? I wonder how many people you robbed this week. Well, guess what? Now you got robbed. Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's so great, man.
It is so great.
What is your guys' opinion on the Oscars? Like, on certain actors getting Oscars, in your opinion, like.
Well, I think that the Oscars is a bunch of bullshit because, honestly, because it's like I got to hear everybody's political views and what they think about the world and what it should be and this and that. How about like Ricky Gervais said in that other I forgot what show that was, but
the Golden Globes.
Yeah, the Golden Globes. He's like, come up, get your award, give thanks to who you got to give thanks to, and get the hell off the stage. Like, because telling us what we should and we shouldn't be doing is like, come on, who are you to tell me what kind of life I should live? Meanwhile, they've never lived a real life, a day in their life.
And personally, like, I don't think they should have politics. And I think sometimes people, if you notice that Bob De Niro did not get a single Oscar at this year's Oscars, at 2020 Oscars. And I mean, I like Robert De Niro, but I think that's what happens when you open your mouth and generally talk open politics.
Yeah, you know what? I would agree with you, but I don't agree in this sense because the guy he talked about is mostly hated in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Trump is hated in Hollywood. Mostly every single actress or actor is against him. So like, you know, I don't think that I don't think they would shun him because he went after Trump. You know what I mean? I just think that they shun what's his name. Period. They shun what's his name, the director. I think they just think like, you know, because the movie was so long and shit, and I think that kind of ruined it, like for getting awards that the movie was so long. I honestly think that it killed it, that it was that long.
Like The Irishman, but I will say it had two things against it for me. Was I've seen a million mob movies.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, not that I don't like mob movies. I can still get something out of it, you know. But I've seen a lot of them, and there's been a lot made, and it was really long.
Yeah, it was very long, and I've seen that story already because I've seen that story with where what's his name played him. Jack Nicholson played Hoffer in a movie that came out in the late 90s, I think it was, and like it's the same exact story but told differently, obviously. And I think that was an epic movie, but like you said, I think it was just too long, and the way that they changed the faces and stuff that they did with that, I think kind of like took from the movie a little bit.
And I really think that The Irishman should have been a show. Like it should have been like episode 1, episode 2, because how long?
That would have been cool if they did that. What they did with the O.J. Simpson movie. Well, basically, what the movie was like. They should have did the same thing. You're right, Tommy. That probably would have been better. Like if it was like a mini series and told, you know, week after week for like 7 or 8 weeks. But
yes.
You're right. I think it would have been better that way.
Because that's how Netflix does it. They shoot all their shows all their episodes back to back, and then they release it all as one gigantic binge watch. And I think that possibly I don't know if a show has ever won an Oscar, but like I think that if it might have gotten a Golden Globe award maybe, or like one of those TV awards, like many of like Breaking Bad won several awards for, you know, best show, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, The People versus O.J. Simpson, I think they did an excellent job.
Yeah, that was a great friggin' mini series about it.
I thought that like it's O.J. Like really, this is coming out. What was it, like a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and I see it. Like, gosh, hasn't this been played out? Well, I watch it, and I'm like, I loved it.
I learned so many things new that I didn't know. You know what I mean?
I knew all the things.
Yeah, me too. I thought for sure, like, I knew everything about the OJ trial. I mean, we all lived through it and, like, experienced it, right? If you're a certain age. But then watching that miniseries, man, I learned a lot of new stuff. Like, I didn't realize the Kardashian, like, I knew that, you know, that the wife was involved in somehow was involved with O.J. Simpson and Nicole Simpson, but I didn't realize how much they were involved, to the point where O.J. went to kill himself in Kim Kardashian's friggin' room when she was a kid.
Yeah, he was their godfather. I mean, I knew they were friends, but I didn't realize.
He actually was going to put a bullet in his head in her room.
And that's crazy.
You know, and then I was like, wow. And then it showed that
these people were family. They were family.
Yeah. It also showed that part of all the Kardashian kids sitting at the table with their father, who's deceased now. He died years ago. And that's the one who was friends with OJ. It showed them sitting at a diner table with them, and the father leaned over to them, and they were talking about, like, you know, fame and notoriety and this and that. And he goes, you guys have to remember that fame and notoriety means nothing. It's nothing without your friends and your family first and being an honest person. And they looked at him like he had 5 heads. And it was a funny moment because it was like, you know, look what they winded up becoming, that whole family. They became like this, you know, their stars. Really, you know?
Yeah, they kind of became a joke.
Yeah, I'm like, why? In my opinion, like, why are the Kardashians rich? I think it's because of that. Like, they get their money
That
from their.
family has been through craziness, though. I mean, they really have. I mean, look at the whole thing, with Jenner and the process, and I mean that all happened within this one family.
Yeah.
To now Caitlyn Jenner, that all happened within the same family. That's one hell of a story.
Yeah, and then there was a rumor a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that Kim Kardashian was OJ's daughter.
No.
Yeah, he even went onto his Twitter, which he is a Twitter star now, and there's people watching him constantly. He has a huge Twitter following, and he uploads on Twitter every day. He talks to his fans on Twitter. Meanwhile, they're not really fans of his. They all hate him, I think, but they watch him because he's such a psycho. And he goes on there, and he even talked about it on his Twitter channel, which you can go back and watch the video whenever you want. I watched it the other day, and he's like, I just want to put the rumors to rest right now. I just want to let you guys know that she is not my daughter, okay? I never had sexual relations with my friend's wife, and I tell you right now, she's not my daughter. She's a good-looking girl, and she is very smart and talented, but she is not my daughter, and I just want to let y'all know. I sound just like OJ said. Oh, God, thank you. This is OJ. Listen, I killed everybody. I just want to let y'all know.
If the glove doesn't fit, you shall.
If the glove don't fit, then I swelled up my hands before I came here because them shits I wore that night. So
let the beast.
Just want to let you know I wore them shits that night. If they don't fit, then the glove was washed or something. Don't worry, you're going to get me 20 years from now in Vegas and I'll serve 9 years. All right? Don't worry about that. Tell Ron Goldman, I'm going to serve time. Don't get mad. Tell the Goldmans I'm going to serve some time. Don't worry. The Goldmans hated his ass, man.
I know, the poor Goldman.
I know, the Goldmans. The father, especially in that movie, the father was like, "You son of a bitch!" Like, I was like, "Oh my God!" Like, I could understand what it's like to, like, I can't understand what it's like to have somebody murdered in your family, and I hope I never have to understand that. And my heart goes out to them. But, like, the guy who played him was the spitting frigging image of him, man. Like, I mean, that guy was whoever the hell they hired to play Ron Goldman's father. I mean, that guy aced it. He was Ron Goldman. It was weird.
I gotta say that they with also John Travolta playing one of the attorneys.
I know.
I thought
Travolta's like,
was great.
"Don't touch my hair. Don't touch my hair. I'm a lawyer now. Look, hey.
I'm a lawyer. I'm a high-priced lawyer.
Don't touch my hair, ma."
Even with the defense attorney, like, they did an amazing job taking the actress and, like, matching her up to the attorney. Was the defense like that was spot on.
Yeah, man, it was.
They compared at the
one who played. Are you talking about the one who played? What's her name?
Yeah, the defense. She
played her great, man. She really did.
Apparently, I guess she was, like, shunned a lot of times. Like, she was made fun of because everybody thought she, like, was a stone queen or something like that.
Yeah. What about the guy who played what's his name? The other lawyer. What the hell's the other lawyer's name? What the hell's his name? Johnny Cochran. That guy played Johnny Cochran great.
Yeah.
That was Travolta, wasn't it? Travolta.
No. Travolta played what's his face? Shapiro.
Yeah, Shapiro. And Shapiro kind of got pushed out towards the end of the trial, like, because all these lawyers were coming in. They're like, "Yeah, we don't think we should really take orders from you, Shapiro. We don't think." I
got news for you that it was probably better for OJ that happened because it was like Shapiro was gonna, like, he was ready to, like, you know, he's ready to just be like, hey, let's just settle and just get you like a couple of years and get you out of here. And you know, OJ was like, nah, man, I'm not going to jail. I don't like being in there, and I'd rather be playing golf because you guys need to get me off, man. If the glove don't fit, then you must have quit. And he and you know, that guy was ready to give in. And when what's his name stepped in, the other guy, what's his face again? Johnny what?
Cochran?
Johnny Cochran, yeah, Cochran. When he stepped in, man, that was it. OJ was like, yeah, I'm going to get off. This guy's getting me off. He knew it. He knew he was getting off. Because look what was going on then at that point. It was right after, you know, the Rodney King shit. And it was like, God forbid, they found him guilty.
He really did not want to persecute this man.
They didn't.
He was America's sweetheart as far as...
Yeah.
He was so admired, and
I loved him on freaking. Remember Naked Gun, the movies, Naked Gun. I used to love the Naked Gun movies when I was a kid, and he was in all of them. So so I always loved him. You know, and it.
Yeah, he was beloved at the time.
It was like the guy from Naked Gun murdered his wife. What? And it was real.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, I do think that he murdered her, especially when I heard him do that whole entire.
I admit how I would do it.
Well, he did that hypothetical shit.
He came out with the book he wrote, and he literally titled the book "If I Did It."
Yeah, and the way that he explained it was messed up because he was like, "All right, if I did it, then that means I would have picked somebody up, my friend, and let's just call him Roger, and Roger would have gotten a call at me, and we had a knife." And I was going to go there to flatten her tires. And she came out and say, if I did it, she caught me doing it. You know, she caught me, deflating the tires. So then we got into an argument. And then Ron Goldman shows up. And I don't know who he is. And he starts talking to me. And then at one point, OJ said, and then let's say he goes into some kind of karate stance and like challenges me to a fight. And then that's when he said, supposedly he went up to him and stabbed him in the neck, and he described it in detail. Okay,
as the details that only the murderer would have.
Yeah, that shit was gruesome. Okay, the way that he started explaining it. If you ever saw the interview, if you haven't, go look it up. I highly recommend and watch this hypothetical interview, which was not hypothetical. You know, it was chilling. It was bone chilling hearing him explain that shit because this is how it really went down. He basically, Ron Goldman was on the floor watching him decapitate, Nicole Simpson. Wow. And he was laying there and he had this certain thing was cut in his neck that he couldn't move while he was bleeding out and dying. And they said that the coroner's office confirmed that. Like he had to lay there for a little while with his eyes open, seeing this happening, Wow. Crazy, man. Yeah. Biggest murder. Trial in history.
Did you see the thing on Netflix about Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah, that I saw the thing on Netflix. Yeah, man, that was crazy. That thing on Netflix, man. A lot of stuff I didn't know about that either.
Yeah. Like I heard about it. I'm not, I don't really watch sports, but I have, my brother and his friends. They watch sports a little bit.
Yeah.
But that threw me for a loop. It was like the modern OJ in a way. Aaron Hernandez was quite as loved as OJ was, but still
But this guy was an active player, which is crazy to think. He
was like a born talent. He was just
he was. And you know what? I did not know that. And this still might not be true, but supposedly I didn't know that he was gay. Nothing changes for me as far as liking him and not liking him, but
that really did fix the whole plot, and maybe that was
it has a lot to do with it now because if you think about it, maybe he was trying to hide something that was going on with and then you think about it and you think to yourself like his father was a like gay basher type of guy. And like, and then meanwhile,
his other football friends that he went to high school and college with that were coming out like on this show saying I was gay this whole time.
Yeah, the quarterback.
It happened a lot. It happened more than people realized.
He was.
So
dating.
what happens to somebody like Hernandez?
Yeah, he was dating quarterback.
Here he is in the most masculine role you can be in. coming from a family who was totally not going to support that. And what happens when you internalize that for so long?
Yep.
What does happen to a person? He killed himself in prison.
Exactly. And that goes back to like what I was saying before about like my cousins and how they were raised, weren't allowed to listen to the, you know, music or MTV or this or that. Like when you do that and you do that to your kids, it's like you're basically, you know, not letting them see what the real world is all about, and then learning how to maneuver through stuff as a kid.
Like
you know,
the biggest favor we could do. I heard a comedian recently say it. A lady comedian, her name's Fortune Femster. She's on Netflix, and she's she's from North Carolina, and she didn't come out of the closet till she was 25 years old. And she said the biggest favor you can do for your kids is to accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
Because all of that stuff, like that's when like religion can be so toxic.
Yeah, it can. You know, because like I always told my kids, I don't care who you date. I don't care what you are, what you do. As long as you're happy and the person is taking care of you and is a good person, that's all that matters to me. As long as, you know, you're doing the right thing, I don't really care what is what. You know, I don't care about the details. As long as you're doing the right thing and you're safe and you're happy, that's all that matters.
Yeah. You're not taking what's not yours. You're not lying. You're not.
Yeah. You're not hurting anybody. Nobody's hurting anybody by being what they want to be. I mean, for crying out loud, let people be what they want to be. You know, let people be what the fuck they want to be.
Whoa.
Especially nowadays. Oh, Tommy, go fuck you. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
But especially nowadays, it's like, come on, man. Like, let's talk like grown-ups here, Tommy. Come on. You know, like nowadays, you know, there should be more people understanding about everything. You know, but some stuff gets too carried away, and they expect us all to accept everything. And I don't have a problem accepting everything, but it's like some stuff you're gonna have to give me a little time to get used to that. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's everybody's personal prerogative. Like,
doesn't mean I hate it. It's just that I'm not used to it.
That's the whole foundational principle.
But I think some people
United States of America.
But I think some people get that confused with, like, if you're not used to something and you're not like, say, I'm not against it, but say I'm not like, I don't want to be around that. They can't take that as like racist or like homophobic or, you know, some people just aren't used to it. They're not used to that culture shock.
Yeah. And I find myself, I mean, I've been around people who were all different kinds of things my whole life.
Yeah.
But now for the first time in the last couple of years, there's like a new kind of person. And this person, it has nothing to do with orientation or how they identify. It's really about their attitude. That it's just this whole all-encompassing, like, if you disagree with me, you hate me.
Yes,
if you don't like me, then you hate what I am.
That's what I'm saying.
That has nothing to do with my problem right now. It's that you're loud, you're egocentric, you're being obnoxious, and I don't care who it would be coming from.
Exactly.
It just so happens to be coming from you right now.
Exactly.
That doesn't make me a homophobe. It doesn't make me a transphobe or anything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, you get, and I'm not in that situation at all. I never do. But I see other people get in that situation where, you know, it's going to take them a little time to accept what's going on. And you know, they doesn't mean they're not racist. They're good people. But sometimes it's just, and I've seen people like that. Like, you know, I knew this guy who wasn't comfortable around anybody but his own kind. And like when we would go to like clubs and we go to this and that, like I'd be like, oh man, I don't want to go with this guy because like he's just like a weirdo when it goes to being around like people that he's not used to type of thing. And he was like one of those sheltered people his whole life, you know. And it was like, man, I knew like, man, you'd be a sitting duck in the street, bro. Like, and I just knew it too. He was just like, and I was like, it's because your family. And I was straight up with this guy. I was like, yeah, well, it's because your family coddled you your whole life, bro. That's why you can't deal with people the right way. What do you mean? What does that mean? You know, and I'm like, well, you were coddled your whole life. That's why you don't interact with people well. You know?
You need to get over it. Like, just chill. You know, I wouldn't be able to deal with that either.
Yeah,
there's somewhere
calm your tits.
No, you can say that. No, Tommy, that's so messed up, man.
By
the way, did you guys hear that Rick Moranis is coming back to Hollywood?
Yes, it's 100% confirmed. 100% confirmed to do Shrunk, the new movie. It's like a reboot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. It's called Shrunk, and it's going to be like the next generation of scientists, and he's in it, and blah blah blah, and he's coming back, Rick Moranis.
And the guy who played Olaf, that does the voice for Olaf, he is playing the son of Rick Moranis, apparently in this
I
movie.
cannot believe Rick Moranis said no to Ghostbusters, but says yes to
Shrunk.
this movie. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
And the funny thing is, Bill Murray is making an appearance. Bill Murray and the original cast are making cameos. That's what my opinion is, because I mostly just see in the trailers now that it's just like the kids and it's like Stranger Things Ghostbusters, in my opinion.
What, Ghostbusters? You saying?
Yeah, in the trailer. If you look at the trailer.
Oh, yeah. It's basically, yeah. I remember watching that trailer back when it came out a couple of months ago, and it looked like Stranger Things, yeah. And it has that actress in it, too, right?
It has the actress from Stranger Things.
Yeah, I know, man. Those people are in everything now, man. The people that are in that show, they're in frigging everything now. Everything. You know?
Yeah, I've seen him in quite a few things.
God, and I love them. I love the whole crew of people, especially last season too. What's her name's daughter was actually in on that show. Another famous actor's daughter played the part of the girl that worked in the store with all them. Tommy, you remember which girl I'm talking about?
No, I don't remember.
New. She's new. She's the new girl. She was hanging out with the good-looking guy that used to be the sister's boyfriend.
You talking about Stranger Things?
Yeah.
In the ice cream shop.
Yes, in the ice cream shop. The chick that worked with what's his name in the ice cream shop.
Steve.
Oh, you know whose daughter that is?
I don't know the actress's name, but I know
whose daughter. You know whose daughter that is?
Whose daughter is that?
Uma Thurman.
Really?
Yes, that's Uma Thurman's daughter.
Well, that's because my daughter loves that show.
She looks just like Uma Thurman. It's crazy.
And she had some really good scenes. She's pretty good.
Yeah, she's a good actress, man. She is pretty good. Yeah, she is pretty good.
I love Uma Thurman. Good grief, I freaking Kill Bill, man.
My mother loves Kill Bill. She's freaking. I was like, why do you like Kill Bill? Like out of all the movies, you like Kill Bill? She loves Kill Bill.
I love it. I just love how it's so mystical. I love that because, like in action movies, you kind of see Hollywood try to put women in the role, right? And a woman can't just be thrown into that role.
No, and that's what Hollywood is doing lately. Hollywood is.
They have been doing it lately, just throwing women at you, whether they don't have much of a backstory, that you're not invested in them.
I like what they
capability.
I like what they did with what's her name, the Avengers chick. She's coming out with her own movie now. The Russian girl in it. What's her name again?
Is that Black Widow?
Yeah, Black Widow. Like, I like what they're doing with that. You know what I mean? And that's like a bunch of girls are in that movie that look like kick ass. Huh?
No, is that who? Black Widow was that played by
That's one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah,
my wife hates that I like her.
Yeah, I love her. She's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, Scarlett.
Yeah, she's a babe. God, I love Scarlett Johansson. I am straight as an arrow, but she.
I remember. Yeah, listen, I'm straight too, but I know when there's a good-looking guy in front of me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not afraid to admit if a guy's a good-looking.
Who's the guy in Hollywood? Like, if we don't have to go there, but this would be. I like
Crystal.
this.
You have beautiful eyes.
Who would be the guy in Hollywood that would be like if he straight up came to you at a party and was like, "Hey, I like the way you look," that you'd be like, "Oh," like you might blush a little, like, "Okay, all right."
Man,
who's the guy?
That probably Crystal. I think you probably be like that for Leo, probably.
Leonardo.
I mean, well, Leo's a great actor. I love his roles.
Or how about Joaquin Phoenix? That Joaquin Phoenix, I don't know.
If I was gonna blush, like if I was actually gonna be like, oh gosh, I can't believe that, like a girl, it would be probably like, I don't know, like Jake Gyllenhaal. Honestly, I think he's a babe.
I don't know actor. I don't know who I could answer that with. Honestly, I would
not
have
gonna be a
maybe
I'll
pretty
say
boy.
that there's one actress that
Rodney Dangerfield.
What about Wolverine? What about what's his name? My brother said that would be his guy.
Oh,
Hey.
what's his name again? Why can't I remember names
Yeah,
tonight?
I'm
What's going on? with me?
I think the actress from
Who plays
Friends is
Hugh Jackman.
Huge. Yep, huge Jackman.
My brother said that would be his. Was that
Hugh
he's just
Jackman?
like- yeah,
I
Hugh
would,
Jackman.
I would have to say, all right, I would say, younger, good-looking guy. I would say, man, I guess I'll answer it this way: if I could be any dude in Hollywood, right,
Mm-hmm.
and who I think is like the best-looking guy in Hollywood, like what I think is a good-looking guy, I would have to say probably, definitely not Channing Tatum because I hate him.
No, not Channing Tatum.
Um,
I understand what got girls.
my
like
my wife loves him. I don't.
I
know
don't.
why.
I've met so many women, mostly over the age.
I
of
hate him.
28.
I'm like, you know what? He's got
Mostly
snaggle teeth,
and
and
over.
you know, he's just
Jennifer Aniston. I have a crush on her.
Yeah, that's a good. That's a good one for the ladies.
Man, I don't know. I guess I would have to say like, I guess I would have to say Leonardo DiCaprio. I guess is I guess I
Yep.
would say him. I'd
Like
blush.
so, go back in time too. It doesn't have to be Leo now because Leo now is like 46.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you're
I
going
grew up
back.
with Leo, man. It's a crazy thing. Like we all grew up with him, obviously. You know, but like I remember him when he was on Family Ties, man, as a kid.
Yeah, I remember Family Ties. Well, I saw the reruns. I'm 33, so I
Yeah.
saw.
So yeah, you're not that much. Well, I mean, you are. You're like, oh damn, you are much younger than me. Oh my god, I'm so
It
old.
doesn't seem like it though.
I'm
really,
fucking
but
58, man. I can't believe I'm.
you
only
are
60.
not 58.
Yeah, I'm 58.
You are not.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought.
No,
you were
I'm just
like
fucking with you.
40. Oh my god, I was gonna be like, holy shit.
You
No
think I'm
way.
almost 60? God
You
damn,
are
man.
really with it, dude. How the fuck? You don't. I was gonna be like, what? You eat hot Cheetos? How did you do that? Like,
I'm 60 years old eating hot Cheetos.
tell me your secret. It's a hot Cheeto. And I eat more hot Cheetos, apparently.
He's
No,
he's just a New Yorker. That's what
I'm
he is.
42. I'm 42 years old. I mean, listen, I used to be the youngest everywhere I went, and everything I did, I was always the youngest in my family, out of my friends. Yeah, I was always the young guy, and now I'm the old guy.
And now you're old, and you're not old to me. You're not
Well,
old to me.
I mean, yeah, but I work with this kid who's 18, and he makes me feel so friggin'
Oh,
old. He just started working with us, and
I-
I'm like, oh.
They're not idiots. I'm not. That is not what I mean.
This guy was born in
Young people
2002.
I don't understand America's obsession with putting on a pedestal what 20-year-olds think, but that's what we do, and
Well-
I don't get it.
Well,
I was
didn't you feel that when you were 20 years old, you were kind of like a trendsetter, and you were kind of like you were on the cutting edge
I
of.
kind of
you
missed
know?
out on that a little bit. I mean, I was fashionable, and I was really good looking when I was 20. I was like a solid 10, but I didn't know that. Like I was a fat.
Yeah,
chick.
you're right. See, I know.
I
See,
was a
that's
fat
the
chick,
thing.
triple face. Like I
Yeah, right.
lost like 60 pounds after I graduated high school. I'm a bombshell, and I don't even know it.
Yep.
And
I
I'm
same
walking
thing with
around
me,
naive
man.
as hell, having no clue that everything's
Well, it's
scam.
funny you saying that because I said to my wife the other day, if we could take back what we know now back then, and then I said to her, you know what? But that's why we're not allowed to take that back to then, because we would dominate. We would dominate. We would know where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do, and we would know how to get it done.
Oh yeah.
And that I guess when you're 20 years old is not necessarily a good thing, but it would be, or maybe it's too good of a thing that you can't have that because you can't go back with what you know now back then. And if you could,
can't.
you would ace life. You would ace life, and it's not about that.
I'm 29. I can't even eat a whole pizza now.
Like, listen, life is about mistakes and correcting them and doing the right thing. And that's what it's really all about. And if you go back and you're perfect and you know everything to do and you know every angle and you know how to get around everything and you know how to hook yourself up, well, you know what? That's not exactly living. You know?
It's not. I understand. We all lament. We all sit and go, man, all these wasted years I spent not knowing what I was doing and partying too much and yada yada. What?
Yeah. I wish
But
I knew what I know now back then, man. I would have.
I wish I had the wisdom intact.
God.
I would not want to have every memory, because if I did, there would be a lot of things I wouldn't do that I needed to do.
I have,
you know, I like my daughter's father was the worst idea, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but I just would like to go back with that wisdom of like, I'm not taking this BS. I don't have to say yes. I don't have to I do this. I don't gotta play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love that. Would be great, but you can't do it. And so then we get to teach our kids like how not to do it.
And hopefully they don't make the same mistakes. You know.
I have a funny memory.
Has this one more thing. My daughter has this crazy wisdom that is hilarious coming from an 8-year-old. She had a career day at school, and this was last year. She was in the 2nd grade. And they had like college recruiters talking about college to freaking 7-year-olds.
Crazy.
And they have the career day and they come in and they dress as what they want to be. So my daughter's dressed as a vet and she has a doctor's suit on and she's the vet. And she asks me when career day's over and the fun's over, she's like, how long would I have to go to school to be a doctor? And I was like, probably minimum 10 years. Like, I mean, after you graduate. So you're at 18, you graduate high school. You're like in your mid-20s and then you get to be a vet.
Yeah.
And I can see this like kind of this acknowledgement wash over her face like, oh, really?
10 years?
And I was like, but if you really want something, it's worth it. But if it's like a fire in your belly, you'll do it and you can.
And it's worth it.
She straight up said to me, I'm not even kidding you. I quote, she said, I think I'll just work at a gas station. And I straight up high-fived her. I was like, don't even worry about it. And
that's a kid who's too smart for her own good, man. Too smart for her own good.
Too much. Anyway, sorry, Tommy, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say one of my fondest memories was, I think it was for my birthday. Me and Crystal were at a Chinese food restaurant. And as I'm sitting at the table, this gentleman approaches Crystal and looks at her, and he says something to her, and Crystal sits down with her food. I said, Crystal, what did that guy say to you? And she's like, oh, he said to me, you're everything a woman should be.
God.
I recall that particular incident.
You'd be like, thanks, guy. Can I eat now? Thank you. Can you leave me alone? Weirdo.
Oh, but
I don't know how girls deal with it, man. Some girls, I don't know how you guys deal with it, man. Like, because I got 2 little girls myself, and I know, like, and I tell them, like, now I know, like, some of the stuff girls go through, and I didn't know that when I was a kid, like, but now that I have 2 girls,
it's very much evened. When I listen to and hear some of the things that younger girls are doing and the guys got to deal with, like guys.
Oh yeah, well,
like if you're a guy, you're not allowed to cry.
Yeah.
Guy, you better. I don't even get what they say. Like,
it's funny you're saying this because I have this conversation with my wife all the time because me and my friend always like kid around with each other about who had a boy, and like he always makes fun of the fact that I never had a boy. And I always wanted a boy, but once I had my girls, I was like, thank God I had nothing but girls. Because honestly, a boy nowadays, and my friend disagrees with me. He's like, no, girls have it rougher than boys do. And I'm like, no, dude, you're wrong. Boys have it really bad now. And he's like, well, how so? I'm like, if you have a boy and he turns 17, 16, and he goes and asks a girl out on a date, I mean, she could turn around and say that he harassed her or he asked her something inappropriate. Or what about your boy's 17, 19 years old? He goes out on a date with a girl and all of a sudden finds out, like, she accuses him of doing something and he never did anything. And now all of a sudden he's being accused of this and that. It's like
out of proportion. Like some of the things that I've heard. Now I don't know any women myself who think this way, but it's because it's a younger crowd. It's coming from a younger crowd most of the time.
Yeah.
And I have to hear about it on the internet, basically, which comes with its own set of, is it true? Is that really what happened?
Yeah.
But I've been on quite a few dates in my life, and some of the things that happened apparently now are like grounds for, oh, is that such a terrible thing that he did? And I look back on it and I'm like, I didn't think that it was terrible, and I still don't.
Now,
I still don't think
Yeah.
a guy like coming on to me really hard after a third date and we've had a bunch of drinks was a big deal.
Oh yeah, see that's a different
I
story
didn't think
though,
that
but yeah.
it was not assault. It wasn't forceful. It was just like the way a guy does things.
But you know, some of these guys can get like too crazy.
But I've never, I have never experienced that within a romantic setting.
Well, thank God. You know,
So like when people say like a dominant man, now that has been misconstrued into being like an abuser. But when I was dating, when I thought of a dominant man, I didn't think of a guy who was forcing himself on me.
yeah.
I thought the guy who, I mean, to put it politely, took the reins.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I mean, just to say.
You didn't think of it as a bad thing, as a bad term, like.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
I think to myself like, oh, he's a dominant man, is an abuser, or he's violent, or he's forceful.
Yeah, you're just thinking like, oh, it's somebody who takes charge and knows how to treat a woman and blah blah blah, like type of
or
thing.
he's like a man's man, like.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Because you know what, you're innocently thinking about that. You know what I mean? You're not thinking of like that part of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're not gonna think of a person being described like that as.
But I wasn't 16 when it was happening either. So
yeah.
When it comes to actually like raising your girls or talking to young girls about it, it's very difficult to be like, well, this is when it's okay and this is when it isn't.
I grew up watching an abusive relationship where there was physical stuff going on, and I never ever went into that realm. And I'm kind of happy that my kids grew up not seeing the things that I saw. You know what I mean? As far as that.
Absolutely.
Because that shit was kind of like.
I experienced things myself.
Though. And I love both of those people, but don't get me wrong. It was horrific to see some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, when I was growing up, it was pretty much docile in my house. Like there wasn't really any.
That's because everybody's praying every 5 seconds, for crying out loud. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding around.
But I'm gonna say it's 8:30. We might. I know you have to do a show tonight, Ken, don't you?
Yeah, I do. But I was having so much fun with you guys that they're calling me to come on to do our pre-thing, but it's all good. Whatever.
But
it's been a good one.
It has. It really has. And like, by the way, Ken, you're hired. Like, this is honestly.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like,
all right. Well, listen. Get the contract together and just fax it to me, and I'll check out the terms, and then we'll.
I'm gonna warn you that there's no pay involved. Like I don't even pay Krystal to do this show.
Can you just give me some of the quarters then that you have?
Hilarious.
Physically.
Give me a couple of them brown quarters, my man.
Okay.
Hey, listen, we'll go to the auction. All right, we'll go to the auction. We'll go to the auction hall. Let's go to the auctions. Come on.
Folks, I just want to say thank you so much for watching the Tommy and Krystal podcast.
Next week, we're going to have an auction.
It's gonna be
But as always, I'm Tommy in C2010, and I'm keeping you on the inside fact.
Peace out.
Have a good night.
Subscribe. Support.
Stay
Stay kind.
positive.